Hello, I'm Sarah Williams, and it's my privilege to serve as president of the CF&A for this quadrennium. First, I want to say thank you for 80% of our churches paid 100% of their apportionments for 2024. We appreciate your faithfulness. That means that there's evidence that our remaining Western North Carolina Conference, post-pandemic, post-disaffiliation, post-Hurricane Helene, is vibrant and strong. Let's talk now about 2026. We have worked very hard to develop a 2026 budget and spending plan that will bear fruit in many ventures for the annual conference and support for the work of the General Conference. Over the last several years, CF&A strove to present budgets and spending plans that reduced the apportionments to the local churches. But if we are to be vibrant and resourceful going forward, we must meet the challenges of today's economy and needs. Our CF&A report will be done on Friday, June the 20th, in the afternoon session of annual conference. This is a difference from the years previously. You can find our full report in the Program and Reports booklet, as well as the supplement. I will now invite Dr. Mark King, our Conference Treasurer, to review our points of our report.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you for serving for the CF&A. We are very fortunate to have you in our leadership. CF&A has two parts in our report for this year, as the same in many years. First is the policy statements that are updated for 2026. I know it's easy to gloss over those, but please do take time to review them carefully because there are several items, including the new moving allowance plan and the cutoff date for receiving apportionments for 2025 credit contained in that part. But the second part of CF&A's report is the proposed 2026 budget. The conference portion of the 2026 budget is $6,506,520. It's a spending plan. That includes supplemental sources. $5,691,520 of that will be apportioned to the local churches. Now, this is the first time in many years that CF&A is bringing an increase to the budget and the spending plan to the conference. When the General Church met in Charlotte last year in 2024, they also approved a new quadrennial budget, and it is contained in the 2026 budget for Western North Carolina. The Western North Carolina budget has three parts, actually. There is the conference portion, there is the General Church portion, and then there's the district portion. We'll talk about the conference in just a moment. The General Church portion is $3,547,229. And that's actually a reduction in the General Church part of 1% over 2025. In 2021, the Southeastern jurisdiction returned to the conference a surplus of apportionments back to us to be used as our discretion. And CF&A has recommended and the conference has approved that for the last 4 years, we've been able to use this surplus to pay the annual SEJ apportionment. But those funds are nearly exhausted. And for 2026, we must return the Southeastern apportionment back to the churches as we had did before the surplus was returned. The total 2026 conference and General Church budget is $10,053,749. Now that is the spending plan, and you're asked to approve that at the annual conference session. It is a reduction actually of 2% of the total spending plan from 2025. Now of that, $9,238,749 is going to be apportioned to our local churches. We use other supplemental sources to make up the difference for the spending plan. Now, that is an increase. It is a net increase of just 4%. Let's take a moment and talk about the conference portion. What's included in that? First, there is the Equitable Compensation Fund. It has no change from 2025. We believe we're making great progress of just compensation, and it needs to remain the same so that we continue this work. So there's no increase or decrease. District support, which supports the work of our district superintendents and their staff, does have a 5.72% increase. The cost of personnel and programming, inflationary pressures, both in our local economies as well as the national, require us to address this coming year. We've been able to have previous years of decreases, and we have already looked at reducing this particular budget as much as possible. But in order to meet the needs that the churches have for both our district and our conference, we've had to raise this particular area of the budget. Then there's the conference support part of our budget. Likewise, it is a small 2.5% increase over 2025. And in the same way, inflationary pressures, the national economy, costs are just going up across the board everywhere. Staff members have gone without raises, benefits have been reduced, and we're trying to do as much as possible to keep these contained. But for this coming year, we did not have a choice but to raise the apportionment budget. Then there is connectional ministry support. These are dollars that are flat in the budget. There's not an increase over the previous years. In fact, if you look at it, you will see a decrease. That's because some funds were taken out of that budget and applied to a new area. So it actually has a reduction. The connectional support budget has the disciplinary requirements of funding both the Board of Ordained Ministry and the Board of Laity. There's a new funding paradigm that we introduced for 2025 that focuses on the 4 priorities of our annual conference. Those are creating and vital, sustainable local congregations, racial justice and inclusion as discipleships and sanctification, the well-being and health of leadership, both clergy and laity, and finally, claiming our United Methodist identity. The connectional table experienced a great process in 2025 in collaboration on these focused priorities, and they allowed us to concentrate on the needs of the churches with the most fruitfulness. Now, we are adding a 5th conference support fund this coming year. We're calling it the Campus Ministry Support. And this is due to the needs and the priorities of ministry for our 4 related colleges and university campus ministries, and the 8 campus ministries of non-United Methodist colleges and universities in Western North Carolina. This new apportionment, we believe, is going to touch a vital need in the life of our churches and our annual conference. And if we can go to these students at this time in their lives with the Christian gospel, our fruit will be evident not only for now, for years to come. So we're setting this new line. It is an increase, and it is a driver for the increased total of the budget at $635,000. And this will directly go to support the work of these campus ministries. Now you will notice when you look at our budget, there's a column between the spending and the apportion costs. This column reflects funding from other sources that help bring down the apportionment column, and thus need to have a lower amount and a more realistic budget for our churches. $2.5 million now comes through these other sources. Finally, there is the district apportionments, and collectively they add $1,656,190. That is flat from 2025 and is unchanged. There are just 2 district apportionments now, ad ministry and congregational vitality and development. That will remain the same for 2026. If you take the percentage of conference total contributions, what people in the pews give to their churches, compared to the total spending of our churches in 2023, the 2025 budget, with all of its components, general, conference, and district, represents just 6.2% of those expenditures. That means local church expenses are freed to use at the 93.8% of those funds in their local communities. We're proud of that, and we want to keep that maintained. Thank you for your time and your attention, and please direct any further questions to me at my office. May God bless us all as we continue to be United Methodists who make disciples for the transformation of our communities and our world.
I echo what Mark said about being a United Methodist for this time and place. Allow me to conclude by saying, may we continue to be the United Methodist Church, forming disciples of Jesus Christ, who, empowered by the Holy Spirit, love boldly, serve joyfully, and lead courageously in local communities and worldwide.